And we are live, and I'm fixing my camera, trying to get better lighting. But we're live, and today we are going to be talking about. Oh man, Mike, your camera is real squarey-ish. Like I'm seeing little pixelated squares. But today we're going to be talking about theistic evolution. We're going to be talking about evolution in general in the beginning, why it can or why it can't happen. Some people think it takes millions of years for it to happen. Some people like myself thinks that evolution can happen within a generation. Um, hey Tommy, how you doing?
Hello, how are you? Good to see
I'm
you.
doing good. We're going to have more people coming in too, so I don't know how
Oh,
many people in here. But.
come on.
Hey, it's an open hey, that's an open discussion. It's an open forum like Facebook, sort of, in a way, kind of. But anyway, we're going to be talking about theistic evolution and all that good stuff. And my position is I am a old Earth creationist. I believe evolution is a real biological thing that happens, but it doesn't happen the way evolutionists thinks it happens. I always say evolution is natural selection going backwards. Evolution doesn't go up; it goes backwards.
Amen.
Genetic entropy.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's a good way of putting it because, Steve likes to ask the question, if speciation happens, what's to stop it from I don't know, stumbling over my words. What's stopping it from happening, going all the way back to a common ancestor? And the answer is what you just described is the problem is evolution's going the wrong way. So it's kind of like expecting to get $1 million in the bank by taking money out or never adding money. So it's sure organisms change and there's variations of a theme, but the problem is nature's going downhill.
Yeah. And you know it's funny, a lot of evolutionists they have to deny the second law of thermodynamics, and they say, oh, that only applies to a closed system. They think the universe is an open system if you add energy from the sun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't understand that argument if they're trying to say that genetics can go uphill. If they're trying to say that information can be added or that genetics can be built up or constructed by the sunshine, I'm not understanding that argument.
And I don't think I properly introduced you guys. So we have Tommy Hall, of course, you guys on the hum, and we have my co-host Mike, of course, you guys on the hum. Mike, I don't know what you present. Are you a younger for still? Are you an older for? Are you a theistic evolutionist? Are you a Mormon?
Yeah, but I don't know. It doesn't really
matter anymore.
No.
You're like, it doesn't. It don't matter if the Earth is a cube. It don't matter if it's young, if it's old. It don't matter.
I don't want anybody getting the wrong idea that I think the Earth is a cube. I know it's not a cube, okay? I understand it's not a cube. I know it's not flat. I know it's not a cube. I know it's not quadrillions of years old. It's not, okay?
It is 4.6 billion years old.
I never heard anybody answer that question. You know, when someone's asked where they stand on the issue, I never heard anybody say, it doesn't matter. That's a new one. So kudos to that because never heard that before. But I mean, hey, you're honest. That's good though. I mean, honestly, that's not a bad answer actually.
Yeah, I guess. Points for originality, I guess. I don't know.
It really shouldn't matter. And oh my gosh, my cat is I'm about to throw her out the window. Oh my gosh, get out of here! Get out of here! Go! Look! Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. I think she wants to say hi. If she comes over here, I'll pick her up so everybody can see her in the camera. Everybody see my cat at least like twice. I have a gray tabby cat. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The only reason we actually do have house cats is because evolution is going backwards, which proves my point. But anyway, the whole thing with evolution, on a theological side, is always here, like, you know, the people from Answers in Genesis, and who's the other people? I hear the people from like Creation Today and the Young Earthers. They always say, if you don't accept not only that the Earth is 6,000 years old, but if you don't accept that God didn't use evolution to create, you're in heresy and you're taken away from the inerrancy of Scripture, and you're slapping the face of, or you're being detrimental to the gospel or something like that. You know, you're hurting the gospel. I don't know if that's a good argument to use, because every time we disagree with somebody, we can't just say, "Oh, you're a heretic." I saw one of Kent Hovind's debate with the guy Hugh Ross. I like Hugh Ross, really smart guy. I don't even agree on all of the stuff that he says. I don't. He says that animals are soulless creatures. I don't think animals are soulless creatures. I think they have souls. But if we're going to sit here and call everybody we disagree with a heretic, we shouldn't even have discussions with them. And you know, Kent has said, if you believe that God used evolution, not only are you stupid, but you believe in a different God. And I think that was just very disrespectful to say to Hugh Ross, because I mean, I'm an old earther, and like my position on who Jesus Christ is hasn't changed. My position on probably how Jesus made the world has changed, but nonetheless, I still believe Jesus is Lord. Jesus is the firstborn of our creation. Jesus is eternal. He's always existed. He's not only the Son of God, but he is fully God, fully man. My position hasn't changed.
So I want to bridge. I actually kind of want to bridge a gap here between what the disparity, the separation between, say, an atheistic evolutionist, a theistic evolutionist, and then, say, a creationist, just biblical creationist, right? So the difference here is between, there's one unique group in there, and is that one of those unique groups takes the Bible literally, okay? And then the other two people think of Genesis all the way leading up to Jesus Christ's, ministry, that it was all metaphorical leading up to that point. And if say somebody were to tell me, oh well, I'm an evolutionist, but I think Genesis is literal, I mean, I would say that's cool. All right, cool, whatever. But for people to say, oh well, Genesis is a metaphor and all of it doesn't really matter, so evolution is true, accurate science, and then they're going to tell me, oh, I believe in Jesus Christ, I'm going to call BS. That doesn't make any sense.
So wait, somebody who believes in evolution doesn't believe in Jesus Christ?
Yeah, usually. But I'm not saying all people. There's theists out there who think that Genesis was metaphorical and that Jesus Christ died on the cross for some metaphorical sin that Adam and Eve had committed. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, like I know what you mean. They don't think the account of Adam and Eve was historical. They think it was metaphorical. Yeah, that's a big problem.
If it was metaphorical, that means that all of Genesis,
You're breaking up.
The Bible even matters. That none of it is even relevant. It wouldn't have even happened. It shouldn't have happened. Breaking up. Never mind. I don't want to talk.
Well, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, how can a historical Jesus die for something metaphorical that never historically happened? The Bible says that Christ came to die for all the sins of the world. It even says, through one man, sin and death entered into the world, and through another man, we all have eternal life. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, sure, they want to be scientifically accurate, but theologically, they aren't theologically accurate, because a metaphor can't give birth to a physical person. So for them to say that Adam and Eve was metaphorical, and then for them to say, Jesus Christ was historical, it's kind of like they're being inconsistent. But there are some theistic evolutionists who do take the biblical account as literal history, but their interpretation of it is different. And I mean, if they can go and if they can put it in a box where it actually does make sense, kudos to them. But me personally, I just don't think it makes any sense. I still believe that, hey, they're Christians, but their interpretation of the Genesis account is wrong. It is just dead plain wrong, and it's actually fairly new. Nobody actually believed in theistic evolution up and until the 1800s. I remember I told you when I was doing my own research, when I was younger creationist, one of the biggest problems for me was I was trying to find out, when did the church start to accept evolution? When did they start to accept the age of the earth being, 6,000 years old, etc.? And even in my research, let me see if I can pull out a paper I got, because I got all my stuff in bookmarks. Here we go. I got a bookmark right here, and basically, this is from the Reformed website, official. I don't. Anybody knows like what Reformed people believe? I just know they're like a predominant Protestant view or something like that.
Yeah, it is.
But let me.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean,
this big,
why young Earth creationists, as like me, don't take into account when or where the church started believing supposedly in a young Earth. I mean, we are just going strictly on what the Bible says, and the theory of evolution started essentially with maybe Lamarck or Darwin, someone would say. So that was 17, 1800s, and even then it was kind of confined to science circles, and so it certainly wasn't within, and widespread throughout churches that they would have believed in that sort of monkey to man, worm to man sort of evolution. So I'm not sure that it wouldn't just go stretch back all the way back to the time of Christ. Back before that, they believed, they had the lineages spelled out in the Bible of who they came from. So
right. And the thing with this, when I was doing my research, I did find out that the church predominantly did believe in a 6 literal 24-hour day creation. That was like biblical, that was theological, that was what everybody basically agreed on. But even C.S. Lewis was an orator for, and going back, it was always a debate, but the predominant view was always 6 literal days. Now, was it a 6 24-hour day or was it a long period of time? That was always the debate, but it was always 6 days. Now, the exact 6,000 year number, I have documented historical evidence that it came from James Ussher, Bishop James Ussher. You can even go Answers in Genesis. They even have this on their website, which they don't really tell people about. Which is funny because when I was trying to find out where did this 6,000 number come from, how did it get 6,000 years, you couldn't find it. And they wrote, I think they wrote one article about it, but a lot of younger creationists, they don't even know where the 6,000 number came from. They say, if you add up the genealogies and you do this and you do that, well, you come up with 6,000 years, which is true, but that doesn't that doesn't give you the age of the Earth. That gives you probably the age of how old the human race is. But
that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's accurate. So I would say the human race is anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 years old. I do believe in a young human race, but as for a young universe, I really don't know. And as a matter of fact, time is relative. So is it 6,000 years, to us on the Earth's time, on the Earth rotation, or is it 6,000 years out? Because even the observable universe that we can see when we do astronomy, the observable universe is 14 billion years old, but it's a whole lot of the universe that we can't see. That's a whole lot older. And I think the thing that we keep on forgetting is the thing I keep on telling evolutionists too is when they find these bones in the dirt, right? They're assuming that these bones are the same ages as the layers, and it could be that the layers really could be hundreds of millions of years old, but that still doesn't mean the fossils inside the layers are the same age.
Yeah, that is so true. Oh my goodness, there's such a separation of logic there. I don't understand that. Okay, if these rocks are this old, then who's to say that the dirt wasn't washed over it, and then that piece of dirt was just, it just happens to be 500 billion years old or something, right? And then the bones are like, I don't know, 400 years old.
Yeah, that's how they date the fossils. And the big problem is. The big problem is, sorry if you hear something in the background, my wife's vacuuming. Hopefully it's not too loud. But like dinosaur bones have soft tissue and proteins and red blood cells and all kinds of stuff there that shouldn't be there, such as the bones themselves are not fossilized. And these are supposedly in 80 million year old rock. So that's a problem, because unless you believe that these red blood cells and various things, flesh inside bones, can last that long, then that should raise a red flag on how old these ages of Earth actually are. And so that's one reason I'm a young Earth creationist, because a lot of these things aren't really adding up. And I was going to ask you, Wayne, as a old Earth creationist, and you seem to acknowledge that things are going downhill. So how could things last? Okay, I take that back, because you just said you believe Earth is, or humanity is young. So I was going to ask you how things could last for billions of years if genetics or mutations were actually sort of dragging organisms downhill genetically.
They
But
can't.
yeah, okay. So, but yeah,
He,
I'm
he,
rethinking that
yeah,
question.
he separates the age of the Earth with the age of humans. He doesn't make it
Yeah.
into one.
Well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so if humanity is the pinnacle of God's creation, we're the most incredible artwork that He's created. With our brains, our minds, we're created in His likeness, in His image. Why would He create a universe that's lifeless for billions of years, that's just sitting around doing nothing, and then at the very last moment think, okay, my grand plan is gonna finally unfold after all this wasted time. What would be glorious about that, as opposed to just being, showing His artistry and His amazing glory and His miraculousness and beauty and intelligence and all these other attributes that He has in one swoop, where He just demonstrates Himself basically immediately. I mean,
He
one
did.
story is. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, to me, one story is a little bit more beautiful than the other.
Well, he did, but then he didn't. So I always say God made the universe in 14 billion years, but then He made it in 6 days. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" Because time is relative. A lot of older earthers and theistic evolutionists, they assume that because the universe is billions of years old, it took billions of years for it to get that way. It did not. There was a guy, as a matter of fact, I want to Google this guy. He actually found out that the universe is expanding. But not only is the universe expanding, we all know that, but um, I think every second or every millisecond, it expands faster than it did before. And if you do the math, it's possible that you could have a billion-year-old universe in 6 regular Earth rotation days. So just because the universe is old, it doesn't mean it took a long time for it to get old.
What he's saying is that time fluctuates differently in different parts of space to make it older faster than it would.
Right.
Have you been reading Gerald Schroeder by chance?
I have no idea who that is.
Oh, you need to read Gerald Schroeder. If this is the view that you like or that you're gravitated to, PhD physicist Gerald Schroeder, check him out. He's got some books. In fact, he's got 3 books that I have that actually his first one, he's got one called The Science of God, The Hidden Face of God. Anyway, The Hidden Face of God he wrote, and it was the book that it didn't lead me to Christ, because the Holy Spirit does that, but that really broke boundaries for me as an investigator into history and the world around me and science. And he really opened my eyes to what's happening around me in the world, biology, physics, and blew my mind. So to anybody out there listening, The Hidden Face of God by Gerald Schroeder it blew me away totally, completely, and made me look at the world completely different. So I would highly suggest his book. But he's got another one called, I think, The Science of God, which is good too. But that kind of that echoes what you're suggesting, that you can have both at the same time, which doesn't compute in my mind, but maybe it does in others, which is fine. But it's interesting reading anyway.
Right, and it's funny. This is probably about probably the 3rd time this has happened where because I'm not an astrophysicist, in the slightest. But I've made some predictions just based off the theological text. Like even I didn't, before I had found out that the universe is expanding faster than it did before. I predicted that with Mike. Remember, Mike, I was telling you that? I was like, well, what did I say? I said, picture the fabric of space-time like individual grids, and each grid multiplies on top of itself. So the singularity started off with 1 square, and then it doubled on top of itself, and it became 2 squares, and then it doubled, and it became 4 squares, and 8 squares, and so on and so forth. And that was before I found out the universe is expanding faster than it did before. And I was like, oh wow, that's kind of crazy, and it's doubling on top of itself, and I didn't know that. So,
what do you think of the concept or the idea, the fact that there's a uniformitariety about the universe whereby the temperature throughout is constant. And even the long agers admit that this is a problem and that the universe is not old enough to account for this uniform nature of the universe, because in order for this uniform nature of temperature to be widespread or constant throughout, you'd have to have heat going back and forth across the universe to multiple times, and which would take eons, light years far beyond what they've determined the universe to be. So they've tried to get out of it by various inflation theories, but there's conflicting stories on those, and the mathematics contradicts one scientist's version from the other, and so that's not really settled. Yet we still have this problem of the uniform temperature throughout the universe.
So you're saying that because I know a lot of people say that a lot of people say this during the Big Bang too. They say that if the Big Bang is true, matter should be evenly distributed across the universe, but it's not, right? And then so that would be along the same argument, right? Like the temperature. Why is the temperature in the universe the same temperature throughout?
Yeah, it'd be like a coffee cup. If you have a hot cup of coffee and then you put an ice cube in it, well, the temperature over time would, at first the ice cubes at the top of the coffee is going to be colder than the bottom, but over time it's going to, as the temperature and everything normalizes, it's all going to become the same temperature, within a few hours probably throughout the same cup of coffee. So the same basic thing is true of the universe. You shouldn't have, if what I'm trying to say is, logically there should be pockets of heat that are different from one side of the universe to the other, but that's not the case. The whole thing is uniform in temperature, which implies that the heat has transversed the universe multiple numbers of times, light and heat, to warm it up all to the same temperature. So this is a well-known problem. They call it the horizon problem. They refer to it various things, and they've tried to get out of it, as they often do with sort of post hoc or ad hoc explanations. But to me, as looking at it from a creationist, I see it from the point of view of, this is all uniform, this is all created at the same time, or it could be implied that. So the grand point of all of this is that the universe is actually too young for even the long agers version. It would have to be much older to account for this uniform nature of the universe and the uniform temperature.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not that old. It just means that it was created really, like I've been saying, it was created really fast. But when I say it was created in 14 billion years or whatever, I don't mean it took that long. It happened within 6 days. But the way the universe ages is the universe ages proportional to its distance. Things on Earth, they age proportional to gravity. I can prove this with something really simple. Tommy,
what if you call that theory relative, like 6 relative days? 6 relative.
You say what
makes sense to people?
Or what I was describing? Well, some people call it the horizon effect. The horizon effect, or the
Every time
uniform.
you guys say 6. Yeah, like he's.
Hello, girl.
He's
I don't know if you heard my
having
question.
to like repeat himself. He's having to repeat himself. I'm just like help him. I don't know, explain himself. 6 versus just 6 days. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh well, yeah. I was just saying that, and this actually can probably account for why things that are fixed to the Earth, they really are as old as like these radiometric dates are coming out to be. But the things within them, like the living organisms inside of them, aren't. And I say, I got to get this peer review. But basically my theory is that things that are fixed to the Earth, or things that were fixed to the Earth during the time of expansion, it really did age out to be millions of years. Like if we were on the Earth around the same time that the universe was expanding around the Earth, we would have aged really, really fast. But we didn't, because we came after that 6-day expansion happened.
Let me ask you, just there's no right or wrong answer on this. Like I'm sure you've heard the dinosaur soft tissue argument before, but do you think that I have a case, or those of us who believe in a young Earth have a case when they suggest that dinosaur flesh or proteins or DNA, now that they're deciding that could very well be part of what is left over in the dinosaur bones. When we argue that argues for a young Earth, what is your opinion on the dinosaur soft tissue, and the notion that if indeed these dinosaur bones uh, are not old, if these dinosaur bones are actually only thousands of years old and not millions, it really sort of demolishes the whole long ager paradigm when it comes to fossils and dates on fossils. What is your concept, or what's your opinion on all that?
Well, it's like the James Usher chronology. He did the chronology, and he's like, I traced the world's genealogy back to 6,000 years. Therefore, the universe is 6,000 years. No, that proved that the human race is around 6,000 to 10,000 years. Same thing for animals. It would just prove that animals were here for a very little amount of time. But that still doesn't mean that the universe itself is old. And the old Earthers, I know, like I guess the guy you were talking about, Gerald or whatever.
Sure.
We can account for this, but from a biblical perspective, that's the only way to make sense of it, because nowhere else.
When the Bibles wrote, right, they didn't know even remotely close to the amount of stuff we know now. You do know that, right?
Okay,
they lived, they lived like in the Stone Age compared to us.
We
know the world is old because the universe is expanding. We know this already. It's not in the Bible because they didn't even know what was happening. So why would it be in the Bible? You're using a book that was written a very long time ago, right, to prove modern day science to completely be wrong and compatible when they're not.
I haven't used the Bible yet.
Let me respond to this, because I've been telling my friend about the same thing. All right. So premise one, the people who wrote the Bible, they didn't understand anything about modern science that we have today. Premise two.
They couldn't. It's not a premise. It's a fact. Don't need a premise. No, it's a fact.
Okay. Let me finish. Premise two. Based off of that premise. Premise two. The Bible makes scientific predictions about the future that have come to pass. Premise three. If the people from the Bible who wrote the Bible didn't know anything about science, right? The only way they could have known these things about modern science that we know nowadays is if they were inspired by somebody that could look at the past, present, and future all in one go. I'll give you one example. The Bible was the only book of its time for the last 2,000 years to say that the universe had a beginning. The Hindu Vedas, the Buddha transcripts, even the Quran, they never say the universe had a beginning. They say the universe was eternal, or they say the universe implodes on itself every 14 billion years, and then it makes itself begin.
Hold on, let me correct you here, right? The idea of the Big Bang came from the Bible, right? All she did with observations of the universe is find out that there's a point in time where we can't look back. It's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's got a lot of zeros, so I'm not going to say them all. 0.3 seconds, right? It seems a very small time to us, but to science, that's a big ass long time. We don't know if it had a point. We just know the universe is expanding from somewhere. We don't know where that somewhere is, because in every part of the universe that you would look, it would be coming from the same place. That's how physics works as we understand it. So it doesn't matter if I live in another galaxy far, far away, I would still get the same effect. That's why the universe is bizarre. The universe isn't as simple as some people who tell you about science believe it to be. It's not. The universe is not a simple place. Trust me on that. I love science, and I can tell you that there's no equation for life in the universe. None. Zip. Nada. None. They don't include it in any math books. They don't include it in any physics that we do. So how do you fit into the equations of the universe? You don't, because they've never bothered to fit you in the equation, because the alternative is that God did it. You get my point? The universe is a spooky place. Like, literally. It's a very spooky place. The Big Bang is only an assumption, really, of a starting point that we can literally rewind the universe backwards. But it would happen everywhere. Scientists can't tell you where the center of the universe is. Do you know why that is? because of observational anomalies, because it happens no matter where you are. Why do you think you never tell you where the center of the universe is? If there was a Big Bang, right? Well, where's the middle? Where's the middle of the Big Bang? There isn't one. That's the problem. We haven't solved the problem of the universe using science. We're not even close. We don't even know why galaxies spin the way they do, because it seems a bit odd that things at the outside of galaxies rotate at the exact same rotation as the stuff in the middle. That shouldn't happen. It should not happen. Things on the outside should be going like slower than the stuff in the middle. But they don't. They do the exact. They just stay the same. Hence why we come up with dark energy and dark matter. Because there's something else there and we don't know what it is. And dark doesn't mean it's black, it just means lack of knowing. That's all.
That was legit. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mick, you was about to say something.
I was just gonna say that was a pretty honest sentiment, because everybody would say, "Oh, these are all just facts," and everybody knows it to be true, and it's just that's what I had said is scientism, not actual science. But what that guy had explained is
facts in the sense of like not knowing is a sense of humility. The more you get actually into science, the more frightening it actually gets.
Well, there's no answers. I mean, there's giant question marks no matter what field of science you're in, whether it be chemistry or physics
theology
or cosmology. Yeah, I mean, it all ends in a question mark. So nobody can really know anything. There's theories out there that some scientists are confident about, others maybe not so much. But and the further down you go, down the rabbit hole you go, no matter what field it is, the more astounding and incredible and mysterious it all actually is. So that's why I think it's easy to be a creationist. I mean, because if it was just all material and it was all physics and chemistry, you would think it would be able to be investigated pretty easily, and some answers as far as origins would come about pretty simply. But that's not the way it is.
It's super duper beyond our comprehension. That's the problem. We can't comprehend what we're inside of. That's a fact. If you knew stuff before you knew it, then the problem would be solved. We wouldn't even be talking about this stuff. The problem is that it's so mind-bending that's why we need to figure out what the hell is going on. And we do that with theology, we do it with science. We're all trying to just figure out what the hell is going on here. You know, that's the crux of the argument, really. It's like, well, what the hell's going on? Some people use religion, some people use science, but they're all asking the same question: what the f is going on? You know?
Yeah, that's true.
That's the truth, man. And you know, you can argue all as much as you want, but you're all basically asking the same question. So, you know, some people are happy, like me, just going, I'm being humble. I've got no idea, but I'm enjoying it. Rather be alive than dead, put it that way.
What did you want to say about more about the dinosaurs, Wayne?
Oh yeah. So yeah. To answer your question, in my opinion, if they did prove, the dinosaurs were, only thousands of years old, that does prove, like I said, there was a young human race. Literally, animals did come like one day before Adam was created. But it still doesn't mean that the universe is billions of years old.
That's true.
That's a big stretch.
That's true, but do you see how that would invalidate the whole evolutionary or long ages paradigm when it comes to dating organisms? Because if you've got a we'll just say a 10,000-year-old dinosaur and an 80 million-year-old rock, that invalidates that 80 million-year-old date. And
well, so you can't technically date rocks, though. I mean, there's ways, kind of, maybe, but technically speaking, you cannot date rocks because they're not made of carbon. So
here's my question for a geologist. If I ever met a geologist, what's a young rock look like? Can you show me what
you don't get them. That's the point. You can't date them.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. Like, it's illogical because there is no such thing as a young, one-day-old rock.
You could have volcanoes.
It's either the rock is there,
sedimentary
rock.
We don't date the Earth based on rocks, though. Right. We date the Earth based on observations of the universe. That's how we do it, and we use Edwin Hubble's and other people's methods. Is basically, if the universe is expanding, Well, you just rewind it, and then you get the age of the universe, which is 14.58, whatever it is today, billion years. We know this up to the zillionth
Yeah.
second.
Right.
Beyond that, we haven't got a clue, basically. So we don't know if the universe came from a single point. We just know that's the furthest back we can go. And we know the Earth is 4.5 billion years based on observation. We know how old the sun is. We know when the sun's going to blow up, sadly, and we're going to all disappear. The sun is actually growing as we speak. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger because it's physics. It's basically its fuel's running out, so it gets bigger and then becomes a big giant red thing, and we all go bye-bye, if you know what I mean. So when did life arise on the planet? Well, we assume it was early. It was about 1.5 billion years ago, which is pretty early. Plants and little bugs, microbes, whatever you want to call them, they were the first, and then... But the thing is, we still don't know what life is. We only know what life does. Life reproduces. Rocks don't reproduce rocks. We do, in the sense of we reproduce each other. That's the difference between organic stuff and not organic stuff. There's your problem. But there's nothing there to explain life. Again, nothing. We don't know how you get it. We know what it's made from and all the things that it does once you've got it, but we don't know how it does it. Like why? How?
Well, that's a common problem that the scientific community has, is they don't know how the processes that happen, ongoing processes, explain things such as life, such as consciousness, such as the origin of a lot of stuff. So you can't merely look at what's going on around us and really draw any conclusion or have any real answers as to how things actually got here. It's like you can study a watch, the internal workings of a watch, but that doesn't explain how the hands and the face and all that stuff got there to begin with. Same thing with the universe.
Yeah, well, I mean, the universe is just... I mean, the problem is we can't externalize ourselves from what we're sat inside. If you do quantum mechanics, it basically says how can you measure something if you're the measuring stick? You're basically screwed at that point. So we will be forever, maybe, in this regards, stuck with the question of why. Like, literally, stuck. Like, we will never figure out God, and we will never figure out the origins of the universe. We're incapable of doing so. It would literally break the entire system that we actually exist in. It would snap.
I think God did that for a reason, because faith, I think, is more powerful, more incredible than knowing something. I mean, you could know 2 + 2 is 4 or some extravagant mathematics, and that's all cool and great and everything to know something. But when you actually have faith in something, that's what power is. People couldn't, when I believe Jesus required people that they believe. He asked people
that, though, Tommy. Don't you require knowing in order for you to have faith? You see, you're going. I know what you're saying, Tommy, and I'm trying to be as as chilled as possible and not having a big argument. But when you say faith, but you still have to know what it is to have faith. Right? So you have to have read the Bible and then you got faith. That's just like me saying I have faith in 2 + 2 = 4 because I know 2 + 2 = 4.
Well, I'm talking about belief. I mean, faith is not hard to define. I mean, I can have faith or belief that I'm going to get better from a sugar pill that I may take, that the doctor may give me, and then somehow that belief gets translated into a cure a lot of times. They call that a placebo effect. I think that's a legitimate mechanism of faith, of belief, the power of belief, the way the fabric of the universe was created. God made it so that faith is, in fact, more powerful than knowing.
Well, I think correlation is a bad way to go, because when you get a placebo and someone's mind over matter kicks in, there's actually studies that says, you can take a placebo and get healed, but that's a correlation effect, though. Really, what if I never give you the pill and you got better anyway?
Well, that's possible, but like Jesus, he asked the people that he cured various people, but he asked them first if they believed, or he would tell so that requires belief or faith for miracles to happen.
I would say it's not a blind faith. It's not a faith that we got no evidence for Jesus. We got no evidence for God. We got no evidence for this. I'm just gonna believe anyway. It's not a blind faith. Christians aren't called to believe stuff blindly, but We have faith based off of the evidence, based off the things that we know.
But the knowing stuff, right? What's more important, the knowing the stuff or how you act on it? Because if I'm not mistaken, the reason why as a Christian is because you want to act Christ-like. Am I correct?
Right.
You want to be closer to the Creator. In your case, this would be
Right.
Jesus, right? So it's not so much well, does it matter or not? Because I used to be an atheist, right, who judge people like you and go, oh, well, you're just stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. And then I realized that's a bit pointless. I'm going to judge you on your character instead, because that's more important. Because if you say stuff and you believe in this stuff, well, prove it to me then. Put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. Show me you're a good person. That's more interesting, because that I can judge that. I can't judge Jesus. Bloody hell, he's not even here. Might be somewhere, but he definitely ain't in my house smoking weed or getting drunk or whatever, you know. So I can judge someone's character. If you believe in that book, fine. But just show me that you're actually a good person, and then the rest don't matter, because you can't judge me. God judges me at the end of our lives, apparently. So, that's what I would say to that, I guess. And that's why I'm not an atheist. I'm an atheist, which is a bit different.
Well, Tommy, let me ask you.
I just learned about that. I just learned that word like just a couple days ago, and I've been sharing it with a bunch of people in some other groups as well. And I'm like, yeah, you're what did you say, atheist or something?
Yeah, I'm an atheist. Yeah, you're
I don't
speaking.
know what that is.
Yeah.
An atheist basically says, when you speak about God, right? Nobody knows what it is because you can't, right? But if you speak about a specific type of God, then that makes sense, right? Because that's how you get religions, right? So it's a specific type of what you think God is. So that's how we get religion. But in the terms of what a God is, that's not possible. And you have to be honest about that, because the evidence is there. We have multiple religions around the world. So an atheist doesn't really care if you're religious or not in that regards. You're entitled to believe in what you want. But the concept, the idea of God is redundant at that point, just because you don't know what it is. And if you was honest with yourself, neither do you, because you've never met God, ever.
Well, but
And no
we
one
can
ever, no one
we
ever
can look at the universe and look within ourselves, and
But that's projection, though, to me. That's
well,
different.
no, it's not really. It's more just kind of looking at looking at our surroundings, looking at the actual evidence. If you have a crime scene, you can look at the evidence and you can paint a picture of the person who may have committed that crime, or in this case, created the universe. So it's not exactly blind like that. Like we just know nothing about this person.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say about what you're believing in. I'm saying the concept of God actually came from human beings, right? It comes from us. If I was to take that away from you, right, you couldn't have a religion. So that's where faith comes into play,
Well,
because
I
you're
think you could
faithful in what you've read in the Bible, right?
you could still infer design from the universe. Yeah, we wouldn't have the Old Testament or any of that history
Well, the word
to
design
draw.
comes from human beings. Nothing is designed. You just infer it because that's what makes sense to you.
Well, yeah, because that's where the evidence leads a lot of times. If you see something, if you came across a spaceship on Mars that crash landed that looked something like you've never seen before, but yet looked like a functioning unit that may have some sort of purpose, you could infer that, if it was complex, if it looked like it was designed, you could infer design based on its attributes. You may not have known where it came from, but you could surmise a lot of things about it simply by looking at its characteristics, and so.
But that only comes from us. It doesn't come from a tree. A tree is a very beautiful thing, but it doesn't require to think about anything. It just does its job, right? The only reason why we use the descriptors of design is because we recognize function. That's all. We are capable, because we've got cognitive brains, to go, oh, look, that's functional. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that interesting? And then we apply different attributes to it, if you know what I mean.
Well, we know where complex designs come from. They come from the mind.
I'm a graphic designer. I'm pretty sure I know what that word means.
Okay,
It's about.
but we do know that that complex designs do come from a mind. Information comes from a mind, so it wouldn't be too hard.
No, it doesn't. It's observed by minds. That's all. Like I just said to you.
Well, but we create complex machinery, so we know they do actually
Yeah,
come
and
from us.
yeah, but we only create it because we've observed it. Everything
well,
we've
that's fine.
well, look. Let's think of the Wright brothers, right? These guys built a plane, right? And a scientist, a very prominent one at the time, said there's no bloody way ever that men can fly. And he was literally a very prominent scientist. He was like, nope, ain't gonna happen. A scientist. Make sure you understand what I'm saying. A scientist said this, right? He said there's no way men will ever fly. Well, proved him wrong. It's a dogmatic approach, right?
That's not.
So
Your argument doesn't follow. I mean, a plane is designed. We know
no,
men and minds can design planes.
a plane was designed because we were fascinated with flight.
Fine.
We looked at birds. Well, an aeroplane is based on what?
Imagination, planning, design.
No, Mother
Yes.
Nature. There's a bird in the sky. How the hell do they fly in the sky?
Right. Well,
That's
you
what
know
we
what?
built.
I actually can agree with what you're saying, and this is why, Tommy. This is why a lot of the designs that we get for machinery, they don't come from ourselves, but they come from what we observe in nature.
Yep.
Yep, a lot of them do, but
No,
a lot of
all
them
of
are
them.
just
All
a
of them.
lot of them are just inventions, like computers.
No, it's how we manipulate our surroundings, right? That's why we have engineers and stuff. Every single thing that humans have ever done came from Mother Nature.
But it's intelligence. You have to have some organizing intelligence to
We're
create that
called
stuff.
humans. Yeah, but that's us.
Yes,
God,
it's intelligent. It's intelligent thought.
God only made the universe at this point. He let us do the rest by
Yeah,
ourselves.
you cannot get a computer or a bridge without intelligence, and so that's the same
And you
concept applies to a complex machinery within the
and you
cell.
can't get a complex machine without observing.
Okay, well, fine. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But that's not the argument.
No, I'm not saying it's an argument. I'm just saying that, we need to understand one thing. We're a part of nature, not separate from it. The same thing that makes the rock is the same thing that makes you. End of story. God made the universe. Didn't just make us and then make everything after us. He made the entire shebang.
No, I
You get
agree
the
with
point?
that. Absolutely.
Well, Tommy, let me just tell you this. In a way, I'm kind of a uniformitarianist in a sense. And let me explain that. So, like, I know you believe in miracles and the supernatural and all that stuff. I would say that I do believe in the supernatural, but I don't believe that the miracles in the Bible are supernatural. I don't believe that. I do believe they are hypernatural and they can be scientifically repeated and done over again.
hmm
They're hypernatural. I don't
I-
think that God ever breaks the laws of nature to do miracles within space time. I think he
I
works
agree.
with nature.
I agree, absolutely. You know, when Jesus said, "You have a little faith," that kind of implies that if we had the faith he did, that we could walk on water as well. And I absolutely agree. I think
I would like you to try. I would
it's a
like to. I would
it's
like
a
you to
misnomer. No, I know that. It's a misnomer to say that you have to break the laws of physics to to create a miracle. You absolutely work with the laws of physics, so I absolutely agree with you.
Well, I don't think if we have enough faith we can do it. I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible, but we have to go off of what's reasonable.
No, no. Anything isn't possible, right? Jesus walked on water because he's Jesus, right? You cannot walk on water because you're a human. You are not Jesus. I mean, I'm not
We do have
religious, but I'm telling you the truth.
limitations. We do have
I
limitations,
don't
but we
want
don't know what
anybody
those
out
are.
there to. I don't want anybody out there to try and think they can walk on water or fly in the sky by themselves or do any crazy shit. Don't do that because
So,
you
do you think anybody has ever levitated? I'm not a
Nobody
proponent
has.
of that.
Nobody
I'm not a
has.
proponent. I'm just suggesting that people throughout history have claimed that others have been able to levitate. Do you think that's possible?
Nope.
No.
I think the only person who's capable of doing that is the Son of God. That's it. Not you.
Okay.
You're a servant. You're not the same thing.
Okay. So, would you say that healing yourself by consuming a sugar pill, if you're sick somehow or whatever, and a doctor gives you a sugar pill and you believe from the bottom of your heart that this is going to cure you, and sure enough you're cured, how is that not just as much of a miracle? If you are actually cured.
It's not. It's correlation. That's all it is. It's a bad way to interpret. What that experiment's about actually is psychological. It's not to do with being healed at that point. It's to do with how does the mind work psychologically? That's
No,
all.
but they have shown mathematically, and they've proven over and over and over. Drug companies know this, that people who the placebo effect is actually real, and
I
it
never said it wasn't.
absolutely
I
helps
never
if
said
you
it wasn't.
believe you're going to be cured.
Yeah, I never said it wasn't.
So
But the
that
thing
is my
well,
argument is that is a miracle. When you believe
no,
something
that's
and your
not a
belief
miracle.
heals you or cures you, then that's
No,
a
it just
miracle.
it probably means that your body, if given the right direction, can do shit that we can't really understand at this point, right?
Yeah, that's called a
Super,
miracle.
no, it's not.
Well, well,
Supernatural just means that it's not science. It's just one step above, and we've
You've
got
got the
no way to
mind. You've got the
describe it.
mind curing, manipulating the physical in a way
Well,
that
the mind
is unknown and not understandable by science.
Well, it's not
well,
yet, and that's a fine statement to make. It's not understandable yet.
yeah,
We didn't
right, right,
understand the
right.
world was round, but now we do, right? People used to think the world was flat, like literally, the world's flat.
Mm.
Well, it is, right? Because you're standing on it. It looks pretty flat to most people, right? But if you don't look up in the sky and you're praying, yeah, and then someone says, you know what, guys, it's not flat. I've just
It's a little
realized
different.
something.
It's a little different than that.
It's not. It's the same effect.
No,
It's the
it's not.
placebo effect. It literally is. It
It's
literally
not the
is
same. It's not the same as discovering that the Earth is round.
No, it
Well,
is because
If you can't climb into somebody's head and into their mind and into their thoughts and understand how their thoughts and beliefs have actually cured them on the molecular level. It's a little different than
well,
surveying the Earth.
no
we,
one.
we may not be able to do it yet, but nonetheless, this is what I'll say.
Go on,
It is a fact that the things proclaimed to be done in the Bible, like people being healed and water turning into wine, those things definitely are miracles. But it's a miracle finding out how these miracles were done, nonetheless. Like I think Mike the other day, right? I actually was able to theoretically explain the virgin birth, and even though we can
You never
explain it,
explained it.
I did. All
I
right.
was absent for that. I didn't get to hear it.
Well, let me. All right. So this is. I'm going to theorize the virgin birth, and I'm going to try and explain it. But nonetheless, just because we're able to explain how these things are done, that doesn't mean they're not miracles. Because Jesus can walk on water without the scientific instruments that we need to do it, but he doesn't need the instruments. He can do all of these things without the technologies and.
If I'm not mistaken, he created the bloody universe. He don't need shit. He can do what the fuck he wants. Did I miss a trick here? I mean, literally, he can do whatever he wants. He can be a woman. He can be a man. He can be whatever he fucking wants. That's
He
the
created
problem.
everything.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, so we're arguing two separate things. We're going, well, is this? Can he do this? Can he? Well, he can do what the fuck he wants. You can't, though. He didn't make you the same way he is.
Oh, I'm not saying we don't have limitations. I'm just
no,
saying
we do.
all
limitations
I'm doing is
they're
agreeing
fine,
with Wayne that the laws of physics don't have to be broken.
Right, they don't have to be broken, and we can find out how
That's 'cause
just
they don't
about
apply. They don't apply. They don't need to be broken because they just don't apply.
Well, we
It's
don't
like
know what the limits of the laws of physics are. We don't even know what that means. How far do those stretch? You know, you said earlier that the universe is incredibly spooky. Spooky is just a term for freaking astounding and unexplainable.
Well, we can explain certain things, right? But knowing what's going on is completely different to why it's going on, right? That's the whole faith thing. Why God created the universe is in the Bible and many other religions is love. He created, his creation for love, right?
Amen.
Worship and all
Amen.
that
Preach
stuff,
it.
right? I ain't preaching it. I'm just telling you what's in the
I
book that
agree.
you read. I'm not saying I accept that position, but I'm just trying to give you, my point of view. So if God created this creation for love, he can do whatever he wants. He can walk on water, and trying to use like science to work that shit out ain't gonna work. He could show up tomorrow, you would never scientifically prove that shit. Because you can't. Because he can do what the fuck he wants. No science is gonna nail that shit down. He made science apparently.
Think about it. If this existence was miraculous, as we surmise, Christians surmise, then science, what is that? It kind of makes science in a way moot. I mean, if everything has an unknown and miraculous origin, it's like, what's the point of science?
No, the point of science is to understand what's going on with our understanding of the universe. It's got nothing to do with God. If you listen to anybody who tries to use science against a book that you read, they're lying or just don't understand the difference between science and theology. End of story.
Well, I don't know. I think I would disagree with that, but
Well, I'm sorry, but it's a fact. I never use science against people who are religious because they're not the same thing. Religion has got nothing to do with science.
well, but science has been used as a sledgehammer against religion for quite a while.
I totally disagree with that. That's the point. Okay. I just totally disagree because they're not the same thing. Science is Latin for knowledge. It doesn't say disprove God. It doesn't ever say that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Latin.
I agree with that. I agree. I'm just saying it has been used by some as a sledgehammer against religion.
Because they're dogmatic. A lot of atheists try and do it, and I beg them not to because you just look like a fucking idiot at that point.
Yeah,
Sorry,
true.
pardon my French. But it's true. I love science. I've always loved science since I was a kid. I'm not religious, right? But I will allow you to, preach your word as long as you're a nice person. If you get hateful and judge people, then yeah, you're going to be, I would say, my enemy because I'm going to make you Judas at this point. Because you can't throw stones if you live in a glass house, motherfucker. I'm not going to let you do that. Don't care how religious you are. Don't throw glass stones, man. Don't throw stones in a glass house, I should say. Not a chance. Like I say, I judge your character,
What do you think about well, I didn't even explain it yet, but what if I could theoretically explain the virgin birth? Would you be interested in hearing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, rude. You can do whatever you want. Jesus.
People are like, we'll never understand the virgin birth, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and she's like, Wayne, you gotta stop getting so into science. This is messing up your head. You're gonna turn into an atheist. And so,
wow, people don't like atheists in your country, right? Jeez.
Nah. Hey Jim, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jim? I actually got the link from Jim. Yeah.
Oh, hey, nice to meet you again, Wayne.
Hey.
Wayne, one of my big concerns about your gravitational wave, when you kind of converted over, like I felt you, you know what I mean, and I support you. I totally dig on you. But it's somehow like I'm a little disconcerted a little. I'm a little concerned. I'm like, are you still like this gravitational wave? I thought I would push you over the edge.
What about it?
Well, when you went to Young Earth, just like a week before it, maybe, and I commented, I questioned you and I asked you, but it's like, did that gravitational thing when that was proven to you, did that push you over the edge?
Oh, to go to Order of Creationism? No, I went to Order of Creationism a week before that discovery.
Right, and that's what you said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Do you know how hard it was to detect that shit?
Yeah, and it's so coincidental that he went a week prior. It's like, that to me tripped me out.
Well, maybe, I think the thing with, like, you can be, I want to say this to people who might be watching Wayne's Hangouts who are religious. You don't need to be against science and be religious, right? You can, I know people have questions like, like Adam and Eve and all that good stuff and dinosaurs or whatever. But you don't need to do that, right? You can just say, look, this is my position and I just don't accept your position, right? When you start getting into, well, it's factual, you're going to lose, man. You're going to lose, right? Because science doesn't do, let's prove this God's right or wrong, right? Because theology and science are not the same branch, okay? You stop confusing them, because when you use science to disprove an atheist, well, You're using science.
Okay, can I jump in as a layman just for a donkey minute?
Yeah, go on.
No,
Jim.
good.
Just let me finish up with what I want to say. What I liked was what Steve. I've not seen many people that actually relinquish and have a coming out party and saying that they're not. And when I see that, I'm like, wow, that's a very deep moment for you. I mean,
Mm.
so that's where I'm coming from. I'm just saying.
I think Wayne knows the writing on the wall at this point. I think he knows what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel both of you guys, man. I feel both of you guys. And as a matter of fact, let me get back to my point. I just was about to try and do my best to explain the virgin birth. But Mike, remember I was telling you about flatland and string theory and all that stuff. So I don't know if you guys, well, there's viewers watching. So for the viewers who are watching, basically string theory is a principle in particle physics. As a matter of fact, I have a picture to show you guys. So you guys.
Well, you know what? My biggest interest is quantum mechanics. So you can go with string theory, N theory, whatever theory. I know what they are. So you don't need to explain to me, but probably the viewers, you probably do. It is a big deal. And just the only theories, they're not actually true. People need to understand this, right? Theories are only based on observational evidence. The problem is that we need to clarify what we observe is actually true, independent of our own opinions, right? That's how science works. It's without bias at this point.
Right,
and
right.
that's what I was trying to say about Wayne. I thought when he finally, got triggered was when the gravitational waves were detected, and it was like he had to run up against a wall, some type of scientific barrier, and I felt like it was not hard for him to like say, hey, look, oh, I can agree with that.
Well, he should, because well, there's nothing wrong with him agreeing with it. The guy who made the MRI machine was a young Earth creationist.
Right.
Yep.
I'm just saying, you can still have crazy ideas in your head, right, and still be one of the best scientists on the planet. Einstein he wasn't a theist, right, but Einstein was like, yeah, God doesn't roll dice, because that was his theory. But people use that and say, well, Einstein believed in God. No, he didn't. He was impressed by the universe, right? He didn't claim any religion at all. But he never claimed that he didn't either.
He explained his position to stop atheists from trying to say that he was an atheist, but he explained himself that he was not.
He wasn't an atheist.
He thought the structure of the universe was like it was God or something like that. That's what his position was.
Because it was wondrous. Yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah, and that's what stops people from saying that he was a Christian or some type of theist, or to say that he was some type of atheist. He was neither. He wasn't either of them.
He never ever clarified his position ever, and that's a fact. He never clarified his position whether he believed in God or not. He made some comments, and then both sides used them, like because it's a dogmatic approach.
Right. Well, I got this picture up. I got this picture up, and for the guys who are still watching, basically, string theory is just a principle in particle physics where it says for each dimension there is another dimension on top of it that follows, and all these dimensions are interweaved like a string. Or this picture actually shows a elevator shaft. So I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but
yes,
there are about 10 different dimensions from a biblical perspective. I don't know how many dimensions the actual particle physicists think there is, or the astrophysicists, but from a biblical perspective, we predict that there are 10 dimensions, the fourth dimension being time, that holds all these different dimensions together.
The fourth dimension is time and space.
Right, time and space, right. And so we have 12 dimensions there.
That's called general relativity, by the way.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Einstein came up with that. The other stuff on top of it is theoretical.
Ty, will you stop being a smart ass, please? Let him finish.
Well, I'm just trying to just help out.
Give him a minute, please.
Alright.
Yeah, there are 10 different dimensions. And there is something called flatland in extra dimensions. So flatland, for example, let me show you guys my piece of paper that I drew my little stick figures on, so you guys can understand and see. So on this piece of paper, I drew stick figures, and you guys can see it. And so these stick figures would be living in a flatland, two-dimensional plane. If
Yep.
I were to stick my finger inside of this piece of paper, they wouldn't see my finger the same way you guys would see my finger. They would see
Right.
a circle turn into a bigger circle, or they would see a little circle turn into a medium-sized circle, turn into a bigger circle, and then as it goes away, they would see a bigger circle turn into a medium-sized circle, turn into a little dot, turn into nothing. And so they would have a very small perception of who I really am, but at the same time, they would have a small perception of who I am. So, one stick
But
figure
is
would
that in consideration? Wait. Is that in consideration with the finger being able to change size? In other words, I know you're using a solid object, but let's say it's a light object. Would you be able to shrink the size and come forward and contain an object? Like it's
Well,
getting large.
the problem is with flatland is the conception that it's flat, right? You can't have an observation in 2D because it requires vision, which is 3D.
Exactly
So
my
flatland
point.
breaks. Flatland is only a mathematical construct. It's not something that you can live in. It's
Yeah.
impossible to live in 2D land, like literally. It goes against everything that you know in physics. Well, anybody who knows math.
right.
That's why Dr. Quantum, that stupid fucking idiot on YouTube, has just totally ruined the education for like millions of kids. Because it's wrong, basically. It's just totally wrong. Dr. Flatlander, whatever his fucking name is, Dr. Quantum, is an idiot. And should be banned from the internet for all time. Or put in hell, one of the two.
Wow.
So
I've
we
never
have
heard of this guy before. That's funny though.
It's the truth. It's so sad. I watched that. I was like, why did you just break math? You can't live in a 2D plane because you would be alive and you would require a 3D space. I make computer games, for fuck's sake. It's not that hard to work out. Like, seriously.
I just want to jump in and say, Tommy Hall, I look forward to talking to you. You had
He left
some,
already, Jim.
yeah,
He's left.
yeah, he left. I want to say this, so if it's you rewind this and come back on in Wayne's channel and review this. I just want to say this. Look, you're dealing with somebody who is a vegan, clarified a vegan. Come and talk to me about your little process. I've heard you had talks about your vegan aspects. Please come and talk to me. I want to talk to you about that. So just want to say that.
Go for it, Jim. But anyway,
I just wanna, the guy. I've heard him make, these things where he's like, yeah, it comes down to vegetarianism, and I'm like, okay, well, and, I just want to talk to him a little bit about his vegetarian aspect. He brought it up. I'm interested in that. I want to know where he's at.
Gotcha.
yeah, that's cool. Do you want to continue, Wayne?
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on. Even though I've just destroyed your little bit of paper there, sadly. I didn't mean to, but, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean
That is true though, because nothing is really flat. Nothing really is flat. That's a circle is imaginary. So when people say the Earth is flat, that can't be true. Nothing is truly flat. But just for the sake of argument, just imagine that these two stick figures are alive and they're seeing my finger, etc., etc. And just like I'm a higher being from another dimension, they can't truly perceive who I am, but they also can't truly perceive who they are, because to each other, they're just lines and circles. They don't really see themselves for who they really are.
Wayne, you just hit the nail on the head. That's the problem with the Bible and every other holy book. Because they pre-assume that they know shit. When you just basically said what most atheists are trying to argue in their case for, well, how do you know that's true? Well, I believe it. Yeah, but how do you fucking know that shit? Like, well, I had a spiritual intervention. Well, if we
Baby
separate that,
steps.
yeah, if we separate that, that's a medical issue as far as I'm concerned, because
Well,
I don't know anybody who spoke to Jesus, and anybody who ever has in my country is being locked up, and rightly so.
I'll get to that after I'm done this, but I'll give you some good reasons for why we can know. But going back to that, so so yeah, just like I'm a higher being looking at these lower beings, they truly don't understand who or what they are. They think they do, but they really don't. But it takes a higher being for us to really understand who or what we are, and etc. And we, from a 3D perspective, thinking we can understand an all-powerful God that's extra dimensional is stupid. We can understand some things about God, but not everything because we are limited to this finite dimension.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
you can only understand the finger. That's the only thing you get. It's like, oh, look, there's a big circle in the fucking sky or some shit. But it doesn't make any sense to him. It's a finger. To you, it just looks like big giant circles. So that's a
Yeah.
misrepresentation, right? You get what I'm saying?
That's
So
true.
I can't say the misrepresentation of what you believe is true, and you just proved it. You just literally proved why religion is stupid. Because
Baby
it's an
steps.
interpretation. Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to help him along. He'll get there eventually. Because
Well,
what he'll do is, right, he won't be religious for much longer. What he'll say is, he'll go, you know what? I don't need faith or any of that shit. I'll just let God do his job. And I'll just be a nice person. I don't need to preach anything. I just need to be a nice person.
we shall see, because everybody at my church thinks I'm 2 steps away from being an atheist. So we'll see.
I don't think I don't think you need to be an atheist. I think you just need to ditch the whole I require this book. Because I think you're spiritual, even though I hate that word, but I think you're more spiritual than dogmatic, which is a good thing to be. Because it doesn't require you to question your own ability to think. And that's very good in anybody's book.
I can dig it. I can dig it. But
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Wayne, can you have an individual thought without God being a concept?
sure, anybody can. Sure.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
Well, you won. You won. You don't need to go to church, dude. And it says, I'm pretty sure it says in the Bible that the temple of God is inside of you. I don't think you need to go to church to have faith in your own self or what you think is right. Because that's what God said that, right? The only thing you need to do is, like, accept me, and you already have, apparently. So get on with it, then.
The church
I'll
isn't.
judge you on your
It's not a
actions.
place to go to have faith.
Sorry, man.
That's not what the church is for. The church is a place to go
Commune.
and
Right, communion, right, have
speak-
fellowship with each other,
communicate
each
with other
other.
believers.
Right.
That's all that really is. I mean, I go to church, but I don't have to because,
Yeah.
like Jesus said, I am the church.
Yeah,
Wherever I go,
but
it follows.
don't doubt your own faith. Please, don't do it. Please.
Don't doubt
Just
your
don't do
faith.
it.
Not the faith of Christianity. Yours. Don't doubt the faith in yourself to be a good character or a good person. That's what it means. Don't doubt yourself. God can do what the fuck he wants, and he will, apparently. At his will. Because no one's above God. So what are you worried about? I think you should be more worried about how you treat other human beings. Because that's what he's going to judge you on, apparently. Right?
Yep. Well, I gotta go, guys. I got people waiting on me. So I really enjoyed this. I usually don't, but
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you did.
yeah.
yeah, I'll talk. Hopefully, I'll talk to you guys some other
Yeah,
time.
we already been on here for an hour, but I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys.